MAGA is having a crisis of confidence, but it's not over Trump's Medicaid cuts or his mass deportation campaign. They love all of that. What they don't love is that the Trump DOJ is now denying that the late child sex offender and disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein had any kind of quote-unquote client list, or that his death was anything other than a suicide. They're mad at Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi, accusing her of incompetence or worse, a cover-up. But how come MAGA is never mad at Trump for, being friends with Jeffrey Epstein, for all his connections to Epstein over the decades? How come they never saw the writing on the wall when Trump got quite prickly and even nervous last year when he was asked on Fox about declassifying a certain set of files?
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would
I
you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
I don't know about Epstein as much as I do the others. Are you kidding me? Trump knows Epstein better than most people on planet Earth. So while MAGA may be obsessed with Pam Bondi and before her, the Clintons, we here at Zeteo have got you covered when it comes to Trump and Epstein. Everything you need to know about these two best buddies going back almost 40 years. So here we go. Let's start in 1987. That's when Epstein and Trump's friendship begins. At least that's what Trump told New York Magazine in 2002. By 1990, the two men have officially become neighbors after Epstein buys a mansion in Palm Beach, just 1 mile away from Trump's Mar-a-Lago. According to Roger Stone, Trump once said that Epstein's pool was filled with young girls when he visited, telling Stone that it was nice to see Epstein let the neighborhood kids use his pool. The neighborhood kids. In 1992, Epstein and Trump are filmed partying together at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club with cheerleaders for the Buffalo Bills and chatting about the women around them. That same year, Trump hosted an even more exclusive party at Mar-a-Lago for a, quote, calendar girl competition with just him, Epstein, and almost 30 women. Between 1993 and 1997, Trump flies on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet at least 7 times. 7 times, according to flight logs released by Trump's own AG, Pam Bondi, earlier this year. Now we come to the year 2000, a big year for the dynamic duo. Trump and Epstein are pictured together at Mar-a-Lago along with Melania, prior to her becoming Trump's third wife, and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's sidekick, who would later be convicted for child sex trafficking. 2000 was also the year that one of Epstein's most prominent victims, the late Virginia Giuffre, was allegedly recruited into Epstein and Maxwell's sex ring while she was working as a locker room attendant at, wait for it, Mar-a-Lago. That same year, reporter Michael Corcoran of Maximum Golf magazine documents Trump greeting Epstein, Maxwell, and a young woman accompanying them as they board onto Trump's private jet, along with Trump's family, for a trip to Mar-a-Lago. Trump supporters like to claim that their man had no idea about Epstein's pedophilia. And yet in 2002, in that interview with New York Magazine, Trump describes Epstein as a lot of fun and liking beautiful women almost as much as he did, specifically those, Trump says, on the, quote, younger side. Come 2004, though, Trump and Epstein have a major falling out after going to war over the purchase of a Palm Beach property. Trump ultimately won that battle, selling it off a few years later. Now, in 2008, Epstein is finally convicted for soliciting minors for prostitution, making him an official sex offender. Only he's granted a non-prosecution agreement signed off on by the U.S. Attorney for Southern Florida, Alex Acosta, who Trump would later hire as his labor secretary. This allowed Epstein to plead guilty to only state, not federal charges, and avoid a possible life sentence. In 2015, Gawker publishes Epstein's infamous Black Book, which Epstein reportedly used to keep track of all his friends and associates. Not only is Donald Trump listed in it, but so is his former wife, Ivana, his current wife, Melania, and his daughter, Ivanka. 2019, Epstein is arrested by the FBI on sex trafficking charges. He's accused of sexually abusing dozens of underage girls. A month later, after being denied bail, Epstein is found dead in his jail cell after dying by suicide. Epstein's death then kickstarts a wave of conspiracy theories, many of which Trump either fuels or refuses to deny.
Do you really think the Clintons are involved in Jeffrey Epstein's death? I have no idea. I know he was on his plane 27 times, and he said he was on the plane 4 times. But when they checked the plane log, Bill Clinton, who is a very good friend of Epstein, he was on the plane about 27 or 28 times. So why did he say 4 times?
Now, of course, Trump supporters would say I'm being a bit too hard on him, that he was just asking questions. Well, in that case, I have a question. If someone did manage to kill Epstein while he was in a federal prison, wouldn't it have been more likely to be someone with a bit more power than a former president, like Bill Clinton? Maybe someone like the guy who was actually president in 2019 when Epstein died. I mean, I'm just asking questions. 2020, Trump sends well wishes to Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, after a reporter asked him about her being on trial. According to journalist and Trump biographer Michael Wolff, Trump considered pardoning Maxwell because he worried about what she might say at her trial. 4 years later, in 2024, just days before the election, Michael Wolff releases a series of audio recordings from interviews he did with Epstein in 2017. Listen to what Epstein says about his friendship with Trump.
So how do you know this?
That was closest friend.
Not only was he apparently his closest friend, but here's the big one. In June 2025, in the midst of their bitter feud, billionaire and former Trump ally and donor Elon Musk tweets, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files." Now, Musk has since deleted that tweet. Maybe he realized it doesn't look great to have funded someone you claim was associated with a pedophile. But still, Musk made this huge accusation about Trump. And then we all just moved on from it. We're only now talking about Epstein again because Trump's bumbling AG, after claiming in February that the Epstein client list was sitting on her desk, is now saying that list apparently doesn't even exist. And yet Trump, earlier this month, rushed to her defense and insisted we go back to not talking about his old pal, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, sure. If
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for 1
Sure.
second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein.
The president should actually count himself lucky that the media and MAGA are only asking Bondi questions about Epstein, because the real person who should be answering questions about Epstein and his own decades-long friendship and association with a man described by a judge as the most infamous pedophile in American history and who died mysteriously in federal prison during his presidency is Donald Trump.